The PS1 was home of some of the purest forms of video games ever made, back before video games left their arcade roots and started becoming more movie-like. These games were the risk takers, these were the experimental phases of 3D graphics, the era of innovation, what laid down the bricks for what PlayStation would become today, and what many of us wish we could go back to. The entire reason I never bought a PS4 or a PS5 is because I felt like PlayStation kind of lost its identity. As an old fan, I was used to Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, God of War when it was a true character action game. PlayStation was known for taking risks and being weird and experimental, not the formulaic over-the-shoulder cinematic action game over and over again that they try to be today. And because I recently made a video talking about Nintendo 64 inspired indie games, I thought it'd only be right to talk about the other side of the fence, and that's PS1 inspired indie games. And oh boy, there is a lot of them. A lot of psychological horror games for some reason, which kind of makes sense, I guess. PS1 graphics were pretty creepy and surreal feeling with all the warping and liminal spaces. But I promise, I came up with a variety of games that capture the essence of what it was like to play the PS1 back in the day. Anyways, with my opinions about modern PlayStation aside, let's get straight into it. Compound Fracture is that type of survival horror gameplay we all know and love. Scavenging for weapons and supplies, finding maps, and backtracking through dark corridors. I think you know what type of game I'm talking about. But instead of taking inspiration from Resident Evil, this game seems to be taking inspiration from Dino Crisis. As soon as I read the description, leaving a trail of blood is certain to attract a predator. But a broken leg will guarantee you don't escape. Not every fight is worth taking. Oh, it was undeniable at that point. This is Dino Crisis inspired. I can't get over just how beautiful this game looks. Now some people might see the crunchy graphics and warping and think, Devin, what the hell are you on about? Saying this game looks beautiful. And that's the whole point. Compound Fracture captures the way the PS1 rendered graphics flawlessly. This looks nostalgic to me. Every time I see that Capcom logo during a showcase reveal, you know what's on my mind. It's what's on a lot of people's minds. They've been doing plenty of revivals over the years. Resident Evil, Onimusha, Okami, Devil May Cry. But when are we gonna see Dino Crisis again? I always say, wherever there's a lost franchise, there's an indie developer working on a spiritual successor, and Compound Fracture really does look promising. I don't see us getting a real Dino Crisis 3 anytime soon, so I'm excited to see how this indie game turns out. Yeah, this game hasn't even had a release date yet, but man, I'm telling you, this trailer has me to the moon with excitement, which I normally don't do with AAA games. But from what I've learned about indie games, you watch a trailer, and when you get the game, well, what you saw is what you got.
I'm sorry, Enforcer. I didn't know who else to call.
The next game is Alisa, a Resident Evil style game where you play as an elite royal agent who winds up in an old Victorian mansion full of twisted mechanical dolls. And listen, I've seen it all, from aliens to zombies, but nothing creeps me the hell out as much as creepy dolls, man. This game is unapologetically retro to its bones. We got the pre-rendered backgrounds, we got the clunky tank controls that put the fear of God in you every time you get ambushed, the puzzles, the backtracking. Everything is here on full display and I love it. It even has comically bad voice acting. Now, I was one of those people who got introduced to Resident Evil during the transition to action survival with 4. So you would think I wouldn't like this type of gameplay, but when I played Resident Evil 1 and 0 on the GameCube, that's when I truly learned to appreciate true survival horror. And I've been a fan of this genre ever since. Alisa is a love letter to that genre. I give it 10 out of 10 Jill sandwiches.
Is certainly an obstacle. You are here to take my throne, aren't you?
Oh, my little door. It's time to accept what you've become.
Flyknight is an old-school first-person dungeon crawler in the vein of Kingsfield. It's another one of those games that takes place in a bug kingdom, which ever since Hollow Knight, I can't get enough bugs in my games. No, Todd, settle down, I'm not talking about your games. I'm talking about bug lore games. In this game, you play as a squire of the Order of the Flyknight sent out to destroy the evil witch Luna Moth and lift a curse she put on the kingdom which prevents all the citizens from growing wings. And I have to say, this game has extremely satisfying combat. It's limb-based too, so if you position your strikes, you can chop off arms and stuff. There's tons of loot and gear to find throughout the environments. It's got the epic boss fights, you can even summon other players Dark Souls style for co-op. What I really love about this game too is that you can set the crunch level and the dithering and make it look like a full-blown classic PS1 game. I cannot recommend this game enough, especially when it's only $5.99 on Steam. Flyknight is a damn good dungeon crawler you don't want to miss out on. Parking Garage Raleigh Circuit is a crazy fun arcade racer that's ridiculously easy to pick up and play, but at the same time it has tight drifting mechanics and silly physics that feel satisfying to mess around with. I love how the longer you drift in this game, you can power up your boost. It really reminds me of playing Mario Kart on the DS back in the day. Nailing that perfect drift down those winding parking garages and hitting that boost at the end. Look, it's seriously pure crack. I especially love how events will happen throughout the races, like a landslide causing boulders to drop on the track for you to avoid, or a lightning strike causing all the power to go out so you have to do the final lap in complete darkness with your headlights on. I was surprised by just how well crafted this game was. They really nailed the presentation when it comes to that blend of PS1 and Sega Saturn style graphics. Seriously, check this game out if you're a fan of retro arcade racers. It's crazy fun. No Sun to Worship is only a few hours long, but if you miss classic stealth, it's more than enough to get you that fix you desperately need. Seriously, I talked about this before, about how we really don't get dedicated stealth games anymore. Like outside of Hitman, I feel like the genre got swallowed up by the action-adventure genre, where the only stealth gameplay is surface level, crouching in waist-high grass. Man, this game lets you crawl around in vents, stick people up, perform stealth takedowns, shoot lights out to make you less visible, your footsteps can be heard. I know it's more Splinter Cell than it is Metal Gear Solid, but damn if this doesn't give me that classic 5th gen vibe. Because 6th gen games were where we started moving into that modern style that we're in today. But man, 5th gen early 3D games, they're unique in the way they had simple to pick up and play mechanics. No Sun to Worship is a game I would have been playing right along with MGS and Tenchu back in the day. Although it is short, it's only $7.99 and I feel like there's enough replayability to justify that price. I'd recommend this game if you're a hardcore classic stealth fan. Now this is one I'm really excited to talk about, and that's Chronicles of the Wolf. I don't know how I stumble on games like these because I feel like the stars have aligned for me on this one right here. But as soon as I started watching that trailer and saw that famous Belmont Power Walk, I was like, wait, is this Castlevania? Like classic Castlevania? So I keep watching and I see this flash on screen, narrated by Robert Belgrade. And for those of you who don't know who that is, that's the voice of Alucard from Symphony of the Night. So now I'm getting pumped, right? If you're getting Robert Belgrade to lend his voice for a Castlevania-inspired indie game, you gotta be something special. And then as I continue to watch this trailer, I see this on screen. A crossover with Bloodstained? Okay, what the hell is going on and why am I just finding out about this? I felt like I was going crazy. So the next thing I did was obviously jump over to Metroidvania Guru's channel, the king of Metroidvanias himself, and sure enough, he had a full breakdown review of the game. I watched the entire video, thoroughly impressed by what I was seeing, and then at the very end, he says this.
If you love classic Castlevania, Igavanias, or you've been desperate for a Metroidvania that actually delivers on deep exploration and tight progression, this one's for you. Chronicles of the Wolf saves 18th century France and restores the Rose Cross Order in the S tier.
Motherfucking S rank, right behind Aria of Sorrow. So why is this all important, you might be asking yourself. This right here is a brand new Castlevania game. Let me repeat that. In 2025, we have a brand new Castlevania game. Whether you want to call it official or not, this is Castlevania, and it is pure Iga. I've been having a blast playing this game, and I feel like this happens to me every time I go on the Steam store. I might have to do a little digging, but I swear every single time I end up with my jaw on the floor. I have been a Castlevania fan longer than I've been a Metroid fan. Ever since Konami fired all their OG staff and started pumping out mobile games and pachinko machines, I thought the series I grew up with was dead and gone. But with Igarashi and the Bloodstained series, the Game Kitchen and their fantastic Blasphemous games, and now Chronicles of the Wolf, which I really hope becomes a series in itself, I just really think it's cool seeing the torch get carried on like this. If you're a fan like me, you're gonna love this game. It's a must play.
Come closer. Chronicles of the Wolf.
Likely the most well-known game here, and since we're talking about PS1 style throwback indies, you've probably seen this coming from a mile away, and that's Crow Country. Which shocked the hell out of me back when it was released, finding out that the same studio behind Snipper Clips for Nintendo Switch dropped one of the best survival horror games in recent years. Almost as shocking to me as when Tango Gameworks, known for making survival horror games, how they just did this crazy 180 with Hi-Fi Rush. A true testament to what developers can come up with on their own terms. Anyways, there's a reason Crow Country sits at a 98% overwhelmingly positive on Steam, because it is really that damn good. It nails that feeling you got from early Resident Evil and Silent Hill with flying colors. One thing I really like about Crow Country is its puzzles. It reminds me a lot of Resident Evil 2's puzzle design, exploring that theme park, looking for clues and gathering keys and items as the park slowly opens up. It's like stepping foot into the Raccoon City Police Department for the first time as Leon back in the day. The presentation here is out of this world. Controls feel smooth and responsive. Unlike Alisa, which tries to be a 100% accurate portrayal of classic survival horror, for better or worse, Crow Country, well, this one tries to capture the vibe of the 90s while still feeling modern to play. When I did my Indie 64 list, this was one of the games I wanted to include. But when I was making that list, I wasn't just thinking about how the Nintendo 64 rendered its graphics. I was also thinking about the feeling that the Nintendo 64 evoked when I played it as a kid. That's why I had so many 3D platformers on that list. And when I think of PlayStation 1, I'm thinking the same thing. What type of vibe did it have back in the day? Sure, we had colorful platformers like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, but I remember the PS1 for being dark and gritty. You know, the Resident Evil trilogy, Kingsfield, Siphon Filter, Soul Reaver, Tenchu, Metal Gear Solid, FF7, the list goes on and on. The PS1 felt edgy to me as a kid. That's why Crow Country is 100% a PS1 inspired indie to me. If you're a classic Resi fan like me, this is one of the best out there. Moving away from the dark and moody atmosphere of survival horror, let's talk about something more cozy. Now, this is a demo for a game that's not out yet, but I've been playing it, and so far, I like it a lot. Easy Delivery Co. is an extremely relaxing job simulator game where you play as a delivery driver during a snowstorm. And I have to say, while I'm not the biggest fan of this genre, probably the only other job simulator game I can actually think of that I find good is Schedule 1. But in this game, man, the physics are on point. Trying to stay on the road while keeping your packages intact, making money to progress further on the map. It's a really solid gameplay loop. I'm not very far in the demo. I think it's just an endless mode that lets you mess around in the world as long as you want. But at one point I was doing a delivery and there was a huge mountain of snow blocking the road, so I couldn't get to my destination. So I had to make enough money to go to a shop and buy a shovel to clear the path so I could progress. And it's even got some survival mechanics to it. Like you have stamina, and if you're outside of your delivery truck for too long, you start freezing to death. It's actually pretty damn cool. And even though I don't have a solid grasp on what the game actually is right now, I think it's just fun to mess around with, and the demo for it is free. I'd highly recommend it for anyone trying to scratch that PS1 era nostalgia itch. I'm excited to see what Easy Delivery Co. turns into once it's fully released. Moving even further away from dark and moody, let's talk about Lunistice. This is a PS1 Sega Saturn inspired 3D platformer, where you're running around these surreal, dreamlike stages, almost Sonic the Hedgehog in a way. I kinda caught that vibe from it, with the more linear layout of the levels, and the fact that you can hit grind rails and stuff. But it's got its own feel to it. I really love the movement in this game. It's got really good momentum. It's got a double jump that you can chain into a triple jump. Seriously, you can get some really good airtime in this game. I especially love how the more tricky small platforms, you have a dedicated button where you can slow down your momentum in midair to let you pull off super precise jumps. This is some of the smoothest platforming I've felt in a video game. I cannot stress this enough. They absolutely nailed the movement in Lunistice. It's one of those games you have to play for yourself so you can feel the controls and how good they are. I am so glad I picked this game up, especially when it's only costs $5. It's worth every single penny. And since it comes with a demo, there's no excuse not to check it out. Metro Gravity is a Metroidvania with rhythm-based combat and a movement system that kinda reminds me of Gravity Rush. Traversal is crazy in this game. You're swinging around, you're walking on walls. One minute you're grounded, the next minute you're upside down, and I feel like I'm in the movie The Labyrinth with the stairs going every which way, and David Bowie's there and he starts singing Dance, Magic, Dance. I don't know why I just thought of that. And if you two are interested in a game that's mind-bendingly wacky, I would definitely check it out. Right now, I've only played the demo so far. Something I tend to do when I'm making these huge list videos, as I'm not a huge channel, I started reaching my budget limit with this video. But that doesn't mean I don't want to play this game. Metro Gravity is my type of game. Like I said in the very beginning, I miss when the PlayStation was weird and experimental. And that's exactly what Metro Gravity is. I live and breathe this shit. And that's why I wish I had more to say about this game. It's the reason why it's on this list. Also because the protagonist has ass. Like, a lot of ass. Seriously, look at that ass. Holy shit, you know what that reminds me of? A Metroidvania with low poly graphics and crazy movement mechanics, and a character with the cheek slider all the way maxed out? This is literally pseudo-regalia. Holy shit. I guess if you like pseudo-regalia, then check this game out. Man, I really need to play this game now. I gotta get this game after I'm done with this video. So a little while ago, a solo dev from what I understand was working on a Bloodborne demake for PS1 until it got DMCA'd by Sony. But instead of throwing away all that work on that passion project, the developer working on this game turned it into a kart racer. Yeah, you heard me right. Bloodborne PS1 demake has taken the form of Nightmare Kart. And wow, is this game fantastic. Never in my wildest dreams would I think I'd ever see a Bloodborne game in the style of Mario Kart. This game is wild. In any other world, this would have been a low-effort, slapped-together project thrown on Steam as a cash grab. But instead, what we have here is a well-polished, fun-as-hell kart racer with multiplayer and entire story mode with voiced cutscenes and everything. And on top of all that, it's completely free to play. I can't imagine how much blood, sweat, and tears were poured into this game just to give it away for free. Please go check out Nightmare Kart. Like I said, it's completely free, it's fun as hell. The soundtrack has no right being this good. Seriously, listen to this. And again, you can feel the love that was put into this game, which is why I play so many indies in the first place. We need more of this. And that's why I think indies will inevitably inherit the gaming industry, while AAA becomes more of a niche in the future, you know what I mean? Man, what a hidden gem. So before I call this video, I want to throw out a few honorable mentions. I mean, they're not really honorable mentions. It's honestly because I blew this video way out of proportion. But anyways, Conscript is this survival horror game that I just found out about like 30 minutes ago, and it looks like it takes place in World War I, which is really damn interesting to me. Then there's Delusion. Even though it has PS1 style graphics, it's an open world RPG game that takes inspiration from Morrowind, which in my mind is more OG Xbox inspired. Then we have Signalis, which I really wanted to put on this list. It's a damn good survival horror game. But like I said before, video, way too big. Time, way too limited. Then there's Lunacid, another game like Flyknight. It takes inspiration from Kingsfield, a game that's so maze-like and disorienting. I spent like 4 hours straight lost in one single area before giving up. I feel like I have to have a YouTube walkthrough open at the same time while playing it. Otherwise, it's a really good-ass game. And last but not least, Mouthwashing. A game that I first heard about through one of Asmongold's videos, but I never got around to playing. I know he said the game was really good, but I just never got the chance to get to it. But yeah, the PS1 was such a damn goat during the golden years, and I'm so happy my parents mistakenly thought they were getting me a Nintendo console back in the day. Yeah, true story. The only reason I had a PlayStation as a kid is because my parents were at the store like, yeah, we want to buy our son a new Nintendo PlayStation. Which is absolutely hilarious in hindsight. Every time they yelled at me to get off the Nintendo PlayStation, dinner's ready, or to go outside because I've been on the Nintendo PlayStation too long. Damn, I miss those days. Anyways, that's it for the video. I hope I showed you guys some cool recommendations of games you might have missed, because, you know, AAA marketing and hype cycles, I feel like these indie games, sometimes they only get a small window of opportunity to become noticed. So when we do find them, like, that's why we treat them like hidden treasures. We call them gems, rather than the wide audiences they truly deserve. That's kind of how I feel, at least. But yeah, talk to me in the comments. Alright, later.